Welcome to the PTS podcast where the Poulters talk sports. This is episode 8, I think, of the long-going series. Um, on
He's
today's
Paul. I'm Daniel.
docket, on today's docket, we've got mostly basketball and football with the trip to the bar, as well as a discussion of baseball. So,
Only a
in
little bit.
in terms of Warriors news specifically, this past week, the
Nothing
Warriors
happened this week.
took on,
No one returned.
yeah,
No one came
obviously,
home. No one was emotional.
obviously the big news was that Klay Thompson was returning for the first time, playing as his longtime former team as a member of the Dallas Mavericks. The Warriors ended up coming away victorious, 120 to 117. What were your thoughts on the game as a whole and Klay coming back?
So the biggest thing over the last it wasn't super obvious, but looking back on it, it is now quite obvious that Clay Clay's gonna get a statue. Clay is one of my favorite players of all time. Outside of him being from Washington State, he could go burn in an apple cup for all I care. Um, he's an amazing player. He's a franchise player. He's a Hall of Famer, most likely.
He's got to
Um,
be.
he definitely got he messed up the vibes pretty hard the last 2 years. Looking at all these a couple of stories and things where everyone kind of was on eggshells around him, and like he's known as like the dude who's gonna be like he's up in the
Chill, can fit in.
he was before he was out in the on his boathouse. He was just like up in the Oakland Hills with a bunch of Instagram ladies and enjoying the fine things that the Bay Area can produce. He was living nice. He was living the single life, doing his thing. And he's the chill kid. He's the chill little brother. He's always kind of been the little brother. And you can kind of tell that last 2 years, this team has had bad vibes, not just from Draymond punching Jordan Poole,
I was gonna say.
but from just Clay not no because like father time is undefeated. Every single player you love will eventually break down unless their name is Habib Nurmagomedov and you leave when you're like 32 and you just say I'm done. Like and everyone Clay is not the player he used to be. He can still be very good. He is still a quality player. He is still worthy of money. But it was very, very clear that he needed somewhere else, and he decided also mentally, seeing that he took a lower offer by like 20 million. He needed to be somewhere else. But that doesn't also mean that you can't want to beat your friend. And it was very evident with how the game played out that Draymond and Curry really wanted to kind of just rub it, like just be like, okay, like take this. And because like yes, it was the Emirates NBA Cup, and some players are being like, this matters, and it's like, yes, the NBA office sent out a memo probably saying, please, this fucking matters. And so they're caring about it, but like they were going to be juiced for that game no matter what. And it also helps that I loved the Clay hat giveaway. I'm not gonna lie, I wish I could have gotten one. I may look for one, like a captain's hat with the Golden State Warriors logo. That's pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. But I was really hoping that a couple things happened. First, I wanted Clay to do well because people still like Clay. I still like Clay. I wanted the Warriors to win, and I wanted it to be one of those things where no one lost. And yes, the Mavericks lost, but it's also a regular season game in November. They don't actually matter that much. But I think that I was very happy, and it also proved that you can still win. Like it proved to me watching those last 12 points from Curry, and it's always still been the case. But it's like we will probably never see another player like this in the Bay Area ever again. He is, and that's easy. Like, oh well, so much statement, so wow, but like like we need to start appreciating him more than we do because it's going to be over sooner than we think, and that is going to suck so hard. The environment was amazing. Watching it, watching Twitter and Blue Sky. Also follow me on Blue Sky. Um, it's I truly think that the Warriors are building something. Um, but I don't know how far it goes. But I like what I saw, and the tribute before the game was spectacular. I had a tear in my eye. Um, Very interesting information that Draymond kind of dropped, where he said that originally, because it was originally supposed to be Curry doing a speech after the video or before the video, and that got scrapped because uh, Klay ghosted Curry
Yeah.
before the game, and then that kind of explains why Curry was so pissed off at the end. He's just kind of like, "This is my shit," and it's his shit. He, all three of them built that arena, but Curry will have the biggest statue. Like that's
Yeah.
just gonna be the case.
So a little bit of context on the game. Warriors narrowly win. Steph Curry a game high 37 and a game best plus 24. Um, my biggest takeaway from this game was twofold. First of all, Buddy Hield is who we thought he was, where he's going to be good and he's going to be a reasonable player. But I think he might end up being difficult to keep on the floor come playoffs.
I would say yes, but I think that's like Buddy Hield, even in his best, is not closing games.
Sure.
Like it's gonna be one of those things where he is going to always be the sixth man. And from what like we're at game 11. Game 12 is I think being played right now, or about to be played, versus the Memphis Grizzlies. But I think the biggest thing about Buddy Hield is this, that he uh all his quotes are correct. We're still at the first part of the Buddy Hield cycle. It's gonna go eventually the other way, and then maybe we'll see if it get. But this is where he can succeed. This is where he can do his thing. And from his comments and things, is that he know like in previous spots he mailed it in because his job was to just shoot. But he in comments and keywords that these could change. His opinion could change once he has a bad time and they start losing. Um, is that he knows about the Warriors culture, and that's like an air quote thing that's always been a thing, like Warriors
Yeah,
culture,
it's like
Warriors
heat
culture.
culture type thing.
But when you're looking Draymond Green in the face and he's like, "Defend, you piece of shit," like maybe you're gonna defend. And the thing is, though, they're so good. Draymond is at facilitating, where hey, you play defense. Here's the ball. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
I Makes sense. Like I like it a lot. I'm more worried about the Melton injury,
yep.
just because
So D'Anthony Melton was diagnosed with a sprained ACL.
yes, which is
This
not a
is
very common. Heard that on the radio 15,000 times a day. It's not a very common basketball injury. It's a much more common soccer injury. But I think they'll just play it safe with him. He'll probably be out like 3 weeks to a month at least, and you just kind of let Celebrini make his magic. That's the reason he probably came here in the first place. Is their medical staff is known for work making wonders out of nothing. But they also have the luxury of, oh no, their 13-man rotation went to a 12-man rotation.
right. So they played 11 players this game. They did not play Lindy Waters as kind of the main guy, and Kyle
Oh
Anderson.
no, hall pass.
And I mean, my concern about this team is come playoff time with the amount of quality big men, especially in the West. If Kevon Looney's getting 15 minutes a game, Trace Jackson Davis is getting 14, and you have to play Draymond at the 5 for the rest of the time, you are probably going to be in trouble because he's going to wear down in a 7-game series.
Yes, though I'm not sure. Like this season is going to be a lot of hey. how far ahead are we in the standings? Can they like are they the number 1 or 2 seed in the West heading into the trade deadline? If they are, they're probably not going to do anything. If they're the 3 to 5 seed in the West, that's when you can start looking around and being like, who's got some? I'm leaving with something
Yeah, I mean, this is
because
the
you can turn a couple of these pieces, especially keywords. If you're not going to extend Kaminga, and you are like, well, if we're not going to extend him anyway, because if he wants 250 million and he wants 35 a year, like he's got the physical tools, but like that's one of those things where you would rather pay Kaminga on the next contract when he's 27 and he's in
so
his super prime.
for the reference. So I've been looking at I forget which website. I would love to get a credit. Just put out, I might have been Bleacher Report put out a trade every team should offer right now in the NBA, and I was looking at it, and two names keep coming up for the Warriors, and they're two players I distinctly do not want this team to trade for, and that is
Mhm.
Brandon Ingram and that's Jimmy Butler. Now,
I think one of those is much more likely than the first one.
yeah, I mean
the
Butler will cost less because he has, I believe, a bigger contract, and he's also not looking as good this season as a continuation
Yeah,
from struggling last season.
Jimmy. I
However,
I
I
think he
think
costs Kaminga and salary to match.
so. The problem is whose salary it is to match is Wiggins. That's the salary to
Um.
match. I don't see the point in trading for a different version of Wiggins,
Ooh.
to be honest. So, like,
But it's also one that's played well, much better in the playoffs
yeah, but like,
traditionally.
if the Nets start tanking, get Nick Claxton. That is actually,
Maybe, but they also just re-signed him, so like
he's the guy I really wanted the Warriors to get in the free agency. That's why it pisses me
true, though I can't really complain about their free agent choices this offseason. Also, interesting thing that just came across my timeline. They're starting Lindy Waters tonight because that's the Warriors this year.
Yeah.
But
So
Lindy Waters has also proven to be exactly what he's not a. He is not a.
it's
I
just weird though, right? Because
he's a quality cog
but you're
in the
putting him from
machine.
he's going from a DNP to starting. Like,
Well, yeah, but that's also just how the Warriors kind of sometimes roll.
hold on. So is it? So who is he taking over the two spot for Melton?
Yeah.
So why not just play Gary Payton
Let me
and
see
bring
here.
Waters off the bench, or put Pajemski in? I know Pajemski's been struggling, but
I would have thought more they would have put Moody in that spot, but
yeah, that's the other one, right? Is I don't know. I have less concerns about the Warriors being able to figure out a playable 2 through 4 in their lineup than I do them having a playable 5. So
oh, it could also be one of those weird things where they wanted to keep
the
Pajemski
bench
healed
unit.
and Kaminga plus Moody or Peyton together as a second unit.
I mean,
And
Steve
then
Kerr answered a question in pregame warmups, basically saying like, "Yeah, Pajemski has been struggling, but I think he's going to come out tonight and look really good. So we shall see how that goes." Um,
it could also be they like keeping the balance normal. Like if Melton's not gone for like
they want to keep
super
the same
long,
rotation. Yeah.
you can keep your second unit not because like the plot of players currently it seems like they're gelling into their kind of their roles or their places even though they're playing a lot of them. But if you then keep going like, oh, let's put Buddy Hield in the starting lineup, let's put Gary Payton, and you put all these things, but like Lindy Waters knows what he is. He's not going to be like, oh guys, I got into the starting lineup. I'm a starter now. It's like, no, no, no. You're just a bench player who is an opening tip off. That is, you're still going to get like 15 minutes a game. But he knows that, so it's like that's fine.
So let's head east to Cleveland. where the Cavs have been scorching hot since the start of the year. They are currently sitting at 13-0. If you've somehow been living under a rock,
which
they
which
are.
is kind of strange, but also the East is
So first of all, the
disgustingly bad.
East stinks.
The
Okay,
East is so bad. Cavs are good. Need to preface: Cavs are good. Cavs are good.
they have
East
arguably one
is
of the Cavs have had one of the best starting fives the last couple of years because you go Garland, Mitchell, either um, Okoro or Karis LeVert, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and it just wasn't as strong as you wanted it to be, specifically because Evan Mobley hadn't developed his offensive game to the point you would like. He's been a defensive monster, but on the offensive glass, he's offensive and he's been fine.
Yeah, and but
This
like
year,
I
he's been
knew that would
great.
eventually come around. Like I
We were
covered
waiting.
him in high school, um, and he was a like a 30 and 20 every night with 10 blocks, like psychopath, and you're like, ah, yes, you're going to the NBA, son. I have no doubt.
So, just for a bit of context on the Cavs. So, right now, they are playing at home against the Bulls. They are up 7 points with a little over 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Uh, they actually started Georges Niang today. No Mobley
Mm.
tonight. I don't know if he's injured. He's not showing up. So I would assume he's got a night off for some reason. Um, what this
Illness.
illness? Okay, we've got a
He's
lot of
just
those
sick.
going around. Welcome to the fall. Welcome to the winter. Um,
Whee!
so Jared Allen, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, all with 20 plus points. Jared Allen has a double double right now with 10 boards. The standout number. Would you like to guess Josh Giddey's plus minus in 15 minutes as a starter tonight?
Against Cleveland,
Correct.
um, minus 25.
Minus 27.
Damn it! So close.
Kobe White has 29. Vooch has 23. Nikola Vucevic is playing his way into getting traded for a first round pick, which is not something that the Bulls, I think, would have counted on before this year.
Probably.
So, I mean, the Bulls are going to be in an interesting spot. They keep Kobe White, they keep Josh Giddey, they trade Levine, Vucevic, try and get some pieces. They're Bulls are playing hard this year. Bulls
All
more
all
recent.
I can hope for Steve Kerr is that Lonzo Ball ends up on the Warriors,
I hope so.
because you know that Steve Kerr would just be giddy, and like he would just ban the family from the arena. And Lonzo Ball is perfection for the Warriors if he stays healthy.
I want to check a mock trade in just a minute, but we'll do that in
Oh
a bit.
no!
But
Oh
so
no!
the Cavaliers, I believe, on their upcoming schedule, play the Boston Celtics. That's their big hurdle they've got coming up. So on today is okay. So on Sunday they play the Hornets. Hornets are better this year. I'm gonna go ahead and say that Cleveland's got that in the bag.
Probably.
But then
They're pretty hurt right now.
they play the Celtics and then have a back to back against the Pelicans. I
Hmm.
think that is potentially where the streak ends because you have to think now. I don't think a lot of teams view the Cavs yet, despite their start, as one of the top contenders in the East, at least compared to Boston, right? A lot of teams like Boston, New York, with the trades they did, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you all of a sudden you get up to beat the team that's undefeated. Now, obviously the Warriors were really good even before they went 73-9, but when they won 20 games in a row, there were every team was giving it 100% on a Wednesday night just to try and
Oh
beat the
yeah.
Warriors.
Every single thing going forward is like they're going to get the Warriors bet, like whatever team it is, they're just going to get their best every single night, and that's kind of just
Just par for the
that
course.
shit a little bit.
So keep in mind, okay, tonight against the Bulls, the game that's really close right now, that's an
Uh-huh.
NBA Cup group stage game. The game against the Celtics, that's an NBA Cup group stage game, and it's in Boston. So Their schedule's interesting. So their next opponents in order: Hornets, Celtics, Pelicans in a back-to-back. Raptors, Hawks, Hawks again, Celtics again. So I'm curious when the streak stops. The closest game they've had is in 2 games against the Bucs, 2 nights apart. They won by 1 point and they won by 2 points. Outside of that, there's a couple 4 point games, but they've been killing folks. So I'm curious to see how far the Cavs can go this year. I don't know what that face is for, but I'm kind of scared. Um, the
I've got another topic for us here in a second.
Is it
To debate. It's a
okay?
new All-Star game format.
Oh, I heard they were gonna do something that was related to the NBA Cup, right? They wanted to.
Kind of.
Okay. Well,
It's
let's hear it.
okay. So from good old alone
Sham
Shams
Sham
Shamilamalam.
Shanania. Yeah.
Uh, in 2025 All-Star game, which I
Just
believe
this
is,
year.
I think it's next year's,
No,
but I'm not
2025 would be
sure.
this year. Because the
Uh,
All-Star game doesn't happen until like February, March, or whatever.
um,
So I think it's this year's.
not fully sure. Let me double check this as well.
I'll look it up. You tell me the information.
Supposedly 14 tournament of consists of three 8 player teams of 8 all-stars each, and the winner of the Rising Stars game play in a 4-team tournament. Um, do we need all-star games anymore? Is that too harsh? I just don't care anymore. Like it used to be just like the best of the best play each other, and now it's just like it's not even pick up at the Y, because like a pick up at the Y is like knives out and they're
Oh yeah,
slicing
they
each other's
care.
Achilles.
Yeah,
Um, why? Here's my question: why do the Rising Stars care?
they.
Because I don't think they care. And if you're an 8-man team, that means you can't really take time off. Like you're playing the entire game. Like, does this? Here's a question: outside of Steph Curry, do you want the Warriors to have a second All Star? Because
Nope.
no.
I mean,
Like I want to see these players play each other. That is fun. But like if they're not gonna care, unless they put like a huge money incentives behind the scene and just be like, hey dude, they're gonna spend
I
so
think
much
that's what you have
money.
to do, right? Like, is you put some kind of money incentive or some reason for them to play. And if you don't do that, you do stuff that's like interesting, but not like stupid. Like to me, like last year they did the girls versus guys, 3 point contest, right? With Sabrina Ionescu, right? And Steph, I think.
Yeah, they're gonna do that again.
Like
They're gonna do a
cool.
tag team one.
Like cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
The rumor it's supposed to be Curry and Klay versus Sabrina, and the speculation is Caitlin
Caitlin
Clark
Clark, yeah.
if they can get it. But like that's 100%, especially if they do like as if it is good as we think it could be, because like Sabrina's from the East Bay. She's from Moraga.
Yeah,
She's
she's
from
around
like
there.
well
Yeah.
technically like Walnut Creek, but she went to school in she went to Miramonte. Um so it's just like
All right. You ready? Hear me out. Okay. Wait, does All
all
Star
right,
Game still determine who gets home field or home credit advantage in the playoffs? In
for
the
baseball?
in the
No.
finals? No, I meant for basketball.
I don't think so, no.
So just have it do that. So people would care more because they want to get home field if their team does well,
The
right?
problem is I don't think they do care, because that only affects 2 teams, and most likely not your team. Like if you're sitting on the if you're the NBA All Star from the New England or the New Orleans Pelicans, do you give a shit if the the Oklahoma City Thunder get home court? You don't.
Yeah, because a lot of players that end up being all-stars in basketball specifically are on winning teams a lot of the time.
Sure, that is fair.
So I think they would think they have a chance. The other thing I would do personally, this is probably a terrible idea. It's right off the top. Things happen. What if you did a mixed girl WNBA and NBA pickup game? Like you do like a, you know, like
Um,
you probably keep it NBA height, right? Because NBA players, or you make it so the guys can't dunk or something, and you play on the girls' rim or something. I don't know. Like that would be more interesting to me than some random combination of teams like playing each other.
maybe the only problem is if it like turns disastrous,
Oh,
and
it could
then
bomb so fast.
and
Don't get me
then
wrong.
then you have the problem of people like on social media just being like ha 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 ha,
Daniel,
and then it's
what I
like
have heard is any press is good press. So,
you're true, but also
case Mike Tyson boxing Jake Paul in approximately 9 minutes. So,
okay, you got me there. Though I would like to say this is my favorite new bit from social media. The
mhm.
passion, the majesty, the history. Welcome to the NBA Cup.
God, who cares?
And it's like, oh, dude, it's just because the Middle East is giving you a truckload of money. I don't
If
have to tell you.
if people want to get up for the NBA Cup, cool. But I'm over All Star games. Like if we're gonna have an All Star game at this point, it should just be skills competitions. Like that's
Yeah,
all the players want to do. They want to show off. If they want to play like
yeah,
flag
and
football or something, like cool. I don't care. Whatever. Like
like especially like yes, I grew up in an era where I was spoiled, where everyone was juiced to the T's, and like you have like watching the home run derby when it's just like Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa and Barry Bonds just like with a needle in their arm, and there's like I can hit it another 50 feet, and like I'm like yeah,
yeah.
do it. Like and it's like just as a little kid, I'm like this is fine, and like there's the
Um,
purists who are like my baseball, and I'm like yeah. Hit it 600, Giancarlo. Let's just like get like
also,
unload the syringe, just like
for the record, LeBron James should have competed in a slam dunk contest, and the fact that he
dude,
hasn't
that's the
is
biggest like, and especially because it's a meme nowadays. Because literal G leaguer, uh,
yeah, Max McClung.
almost not full offense to Mac McClung, but also kind of offense to Mac McClung.
Didn't he sign to like Orlando or something?
I don't know. He's somewhere. He may still be in the Philadelphia system, but
Look, all I'm saying is All Star Game is not working. I think they should change it. The way that
let's
they're
see.
changing it sounds awful. That sounds like a miss.
Oh,
That
he's on a two-way with the Orlando
yeah,
Magic.
that's
You
what I
were
said.
right.
Yeah.
What a
So
gamer.
so NBA trying to fix the problem. Good. NBA's way of fixing problem. Bad.
Less good.
So let's move on to the bar. Actually, we're not going to do that yet. What we're actually going to do is
Whoa.
move over to
Premature
football.
barring. Premature barring.
Sorry,
Oh,
sorry, sorry. Uh,
hands up.
what we're going to do instead is talk about the other undefeated team in a popular sport, the Kansas City Chiefs.
The
The
fighting Muppets.
the Chiefs are sitting at 9-0. Now, don't get
Oh,
me
darn.
wrong. This team has looked ugly sometimes. They win ugly. They had to get a blocked field goal,
To
blocked a
beat
chip
the
shot field goal
Broncos.
to beat the Broncos. Now,
Oh, beat
now
the
to be fair,
Broncos.
Broncos look better this year,
The Broncos are the notorious team this year where I'm just like the Broncos are 3-7, right? And you're like, the
and they're like
Broncos are
six
not.
and four or
The
something.
Broncos are good, maybe a playoff team, and I'm like,
Broncos are 5-5. Excuse me.
I was
Okay,
like, what? What are you
Broncos,
doing, Broncos? What are you doing at
Broncos are
500?
having a good defense is what they're doing.
That's
Uh,
true.
Bo Nix looks good enough. Like he doesn't, he's not blowing people's heads off, but he's
But
not
he's gonna.
terrible.
But that's like it's hard to do anything with that though.
Oh, it sure is. But also, obviously, I'm going to give more credit to the Chiefs winning that game because it's a divisional game. You know, obviously Denver gets up to play the Chiefs,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But the Chiefs are actually a 2 point. dog this week
It's
against
true.
the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills,
It is in Buffalo,
it is in
to be
Buffalo,
fair.
which means so people that are uninformed, generally in betting circles, the team that get is at home gets 3 points. So really, what Vegas thinks is that the Chiefs are about a point better of a team than the Bills, but since it's in Buffalo, they're going to give them -2, right? So Buffalo has rattled off 5 straight wins. They are 8-2. They are also banged up to all hell. I believe Dalton Kincaid out, Keon Coleman out.
Ooh.
So that's two of your top weapons right there. So we're looking for a big game from, I guess, Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins sighting. Like we're in some deep trouble here. Do you think the Chiefs take the victory this weekend? And if they do, what are the chances you give them of going 17-0?
I would probably wager on the Bills. Um, just from the standpoint of I don't think they're gonna go like undefeated. The Chiefs. And they've gotta have a stinker at some point. Like I mean like a true stank. Um,
What do you think a stinker game would happen against a team that they're less motivated against, though?
yes, but also why do the like outside of the number one seed and the Bills still have to play the 49ers and like a whole bunch of other teams, why is this game any more get upable than because right now the Chiefs almost guaranteedly outside of wanting to have home field like a little bit, the regular season doesn't matter to them. The rest of the regular season
Very
is
true.
it's literally can Mahomes and the rest of the team stay healthy and can they get to the playoffs?
Well, they want the 1 seed, right? But
That you want the one seed, but they proved last year that they don't technically need it. It's very nice,
yeah.
but like at this point, their regular season's over. Everyone else was trying to fight their things, and like even if they lost the rest of their games, they're probably still a playoff team. That'd be really bad. They shouldn't do that. But I don't think I think the Bills is much more of a get up. We have to beat them, than the Chiefs kind of go, huh. Especially if it's cold. Like I know Kansas City gets cold, as in the playoff game last year, but like it's going to be extra cold. No one's going to be having fun. You don't want to be there. You kind of just want the game to be over. If you win or lose, it doesn't matter that much. Like, is anyone if the Chiefs lose can be like, the Chiefs aren't the number one team in the AFC? People are still going to be like, the Chiefs are still the number one team in the AFC, even if they lose.
So
So, like,
let's take a look at their schedule moving forward. Okay, so this weekend at Bills, following weekend at Panthers. Follow that up with I think a Thursday night game. Uh, yeah, it looks like a Thursday night game. Are they playing on a Saturday? Is that what's happening? Are they playing? What are they doing? Oh, that's the Friday game. I forgot they're doing a Friday game this year. So they're playing the Raiders on a Friday, and then they don't play until the Monday after when they play the Chargers. Both those games at home. At Browns, home to the Strouds, at Steelers, at Broncos. So they also play on Christmas. So wait, does that mean they're playing on a Wednesday? Oh my god, they're playing on a Wednesday. Dude, this schedule sucks. I hate the NFL schedule. This is so awful. Kansas City's going to play on a
money,
Monday.
money, money.
They're going to play on a
What's the
Monday,
money?
Sunday, Friday, Wednesday,
It's a
and
money, man.
Jesus, that's terrible. Okay. Wait, and they play on the 15th? So oh, that's a Sunday. Okay, good. Okay. So so I don't think Kansas City goes 17-0 either, even though I think the team is good. They've had a lot of close calls. You know, they beat the Falcons by 5. They beat the Bengals by 1. They blocked a kick to beat the Broncos. They barely beat the Bucs in overtime, like because the Bucs are stupid and didn't go for 2. Which by the way, that really showed how two-faced everybody is in this league. Everybody's saying they should have, like, you go for it, you go for two, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Bengals do that literally like the next Thursday night against the Ravens, and they
Mm-hmm.
fail it, and everyone flames the Bengals. This is ridiculous. The Bengals did what
As
they were
is
supposed to do.
tradition.
The Bengals did what they should have because no defense was stopping either side that game. With Jamar Chase with
No.
238 yards and some other crazy stuff. Um, I think we both agree game's
It's
going to
very
be tough, but give me the Chiefs side this week.
Yeah, it's very unusual when two draft picks, where Jamar Chase and Penei Sewell, and you go, I think both teams did the correct move.
You remember
You
who was
could have
able
gone
to
either
this
one.
week?
Like you're like, oh, do you want a Hall of Fame offensive lineman or do you want a Hall of Fame wide receiver?
Do you remember what
You
player
can't
was
go
picked?
wrong.
Do you remember what player was picked in between those two?
Weren't they back to back?
Chase at 5, Penei Sewell at 7. You should know they traded with your Eagles to get this pick. It was Jalen Waddle. Miami took Jalen
Oh,
Waddle.
and Waddle, yeah.
So
Like,
because it
and
went
you can't blame them for Waddle either. Like all three of those picks are
uh,
like,
that draft, by the way, went Lawrence,
it's a
Zach
good draft.
Wilson, Trey Lance,
Ooh, not
Kyle
good.
Pitts,
Less
Jamar
good.
Chase, Waddle, Sewell, J.C. Horn, Sertan,
That is in
uh,
fact a draft.
Devontae Smith, Justin Fields, Micah Parsons.
Hmm.
So that's
Hmm.
off the top because I love draft stuff. So now let's
Fucking
transition.
nerd.
Let's talk about the Niners. The Niners are coming off a stupidly close game against Laser Mayfield
Okay,
and
I
Tampa
did
Bay
not make a lot
Buccaneers.
of people happy on the internet this week, by
That's okay.
saying that the Niners are not good.
We're not.
And what I mean by, and it's in context, not good, because clearly they are still good, but to win a Super Bowl, you must be actually good.
Well,
I
that's
think
not
I
true.
think
They
there's
play
still
a
a
lot of
chance
great
they
teams.
win the NFC West. I still think there's a chance they are the second best team in the NFC. I but you should beat a Bucks team. You should, like, people were like, there was so many people I had that were just like, oh, like the Niners, like they should have, like they like, if they had converted a couple of field goals and touchdowns, they blow them out. I'm like, yeah, and they
But they didn't.
didn't. And Jake
The only
Moody
reason,
once again is a disaster.
the only reason I would criticize them more, they were coming off a bye week. You're coming off a bye week and you're at home.
Wait,
They had a bye week in week 9 and then they played them in week 10.
played him in Tampa.
Oh, they sure did. That makes me feel different. I thought this was at home for some reason.
No, but the Bucks were coming off of 6 days instead of a full week, so
And
it was
they just
short.
lost. That's when they lost to the Chiefs, right? They lost
Yes,
that Monday night game.
it's still
Yeah,
not acceptable. Like,
sure. So to put it in
and
perspective,
like the thing that also surprised me more with that team is like one, the Bucks should have scored on that final drive and just won the game outright. The 49ers, once like they got Christian McCaffrey back, still struggled in the red zone. Um, I really like what I see from Pearsall. They another like special teams blunder where Darrell Luter Jr. gets pushed into the punt returner again for the third time this season.
get him out of
Like at some point, you just have to know just not to be a dumbass,
there. I don't know.
on special teams, and it doesn't help that their head coach Kyle Shanahan has literally said, I do not talk to them. I do not care about them in this building. They're somewhere else. I don't give a shit." Like they literally say, we expend as much time as we think is necessary on special teams, which is nothing.
Which is not enough,
it's like
clearly, because
it's
your
like,
sucks.
bro, you're gonna lose in the playoffs because of this
I'm a
dumb shit.
Packers fan. I know how bad special teams can fuck your season. Like that. Like you need to not do that. Let me put in perspective.
Though,
I want to tell you who they've played this year, like their wins and losses, and the only games I think matter going forward. So the teams they've beaten: the Jets, who stink; the Patriots, who
yeah,
stink; the Seahawks, who kind of stink;
we're gonna talk about them in a second. I think they really stink.
the Cowboys, who stink;
stanky.
And Tampa Bay, who's pretty good, pretty okay. Who
Yeah,
also
and they should
lost
have beaten the
Mike
Cardinals.
Evans.
They should have beaten the Rams, but they didn't.
They lost Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So Tampa Bay's more stinky than they should be. Okay. Teams they've lost to: Kansas City. I'm not going to blame you for losing to Kansas City. Okay. Cool. They lost to Arizona. I don't care if Arizona's better this year. Not something you can do if you're trying to be.
Especially when you let them come back to win. That's the biggest problem with the Rams and the Cardinals ones. Is like, one, you should have won, but two, you let them win, and that's more worrisome because like this defense, you can poke a lot of holes. I like their secondary. We'll talk about a move that they locked up this week in a second. I think
So
that's really, really good.
their other two
Positives.
losses.
Positives.
Other two losses are on the road, but it's against Minnesota, and Sam Darnold has turned into a pumpkin, so I don't want to hear it.
Well,
And
he wasn't a pumpkin then,
yeah, well,
but
too
he's a
bad.
pumpkin now.
Yeah, well, they stink, and they could have stunk back then, so I don't care. And they lost to the Rams. Okay, now the only 3 games that I think really matter to show me who the Niners really are. Okay, they travel in back-to-back weeks
Yeah,
after
their
the
couple
Seattle
weeks
game.
are butt chunks.
So after the Seattle game this week, at Green Bay, okay, at
Which
Buffalo.
I kind of feel like they may win. I thought coming into the season they weren't going to win either of those games, and I
Green Bay's
think they.
weird, dude. If Jordan Love stops throwing the ball to the other team, the Packers are going to be fine. But he doesn't want to stop doing that for some reason. So
Yeah, and I think that's what will happen. But
probably
I think it could be one of those things where whoever wins this game loses when they play each other in the playoffs.
it's possible.
I think
Um,
that's I'm putting that juju into the world.
so at Green Bay, then Sunday Night Football at Buffalo. Then they play Bears, Rams, Miami. I don't care. Then they play home Monday Night Football, Detroit Lions. If you win 2 of those, I feel way better about you if you make the playoffs. Even if you don't, if you're not the NFC West champ, even if you just squeak in, if you beat 2 of those 3 teams, I start to feel a little something. Okay. Now, what we're talking about this week is they're playing Seattle. We had some breaking news earlier today. Um, Connor Williams, the starting center for the
Oh yeah, their
Seattle
center
Seahawks,
said I'm out.
has retired.
He's like, what is it, 27, 28 or something?
He is 27 years old. It is reportedly and basically said from the coach that it is not related to injury. So it's just a personal decision to not play football again. Obviously, neither of us would ever judge someone for not playing a violent sport anymore, but Seattle needs help on the O-line. And this just made it
They are
worse.
getting back there. I believe it's their starting right tackle for the first time this year.
Is that Charles Cross or is that somebody
He,
else?
either him or the other one, but
Okay.
they have both are back.
Okay.
They were playing their fourth string right tackle, who was a rookie out of a Division II school. So not great. And listening to a whole bunch of people, a lot of Seattle-based commentators were on local Bay Area radio the last couple days. Their confidence level is very low. They basically are going like, "We don't think we're going to win."
Yeah, so
Which
Seattle is
means
coming off
that this
a
is the
bye.
game they're gonna win.
So Seattle is coming off a bye. We have no record of how this coach does off of bye. Obviously, it's his first year as a head coach. But Seattle has been on the downturn, and this kind of feels like the next 3 games for Seattle. Back-to-back division games: Niners, Cardinals, and then at Jets. You've got to win 2 of those. You've got
So
to
the
win
really
2
weird
of those.
thing about the Seahawks is, and this isn't unusual, but it's a little unusual that it was publicized, is 2 things. They had their bye week last week, so it's a like third or fourth team that the Niners are playing off a bye in a row. Not in a row, but like in the last month,
It's
because
crazy.
those um, Chiefs, Cowboys, them, Dolphins, and I think the Bills coming up as well. It's a mess, but um, the 2 things is that their head coach did exit style end of year interviews before they did on the bye, which supposedly is not super, like, it's not common, but it's not unheard of. But like they had a whole bunch of massive changes after those happened, and it's very obvious that he went in and went like, you are not here next year. Like, nope, nope, nope.
Yeah, they
Like,
cut a starting linebacker.
no, no, not just their starting linebacker, their leading tackler. They just yeeted him, and Miami went, thank you. But from what I also heard from a bunch of Seattle people, is he wasn't the smartest middle linebacker. He's more. They described him as a pinball, where he just kind of went, and then went, and he just kind of he got tackles, but he like didn't do it how like the middle linebacker for especially how Baltimore did it. Those middle linebackers, those deep safeties, are stupidly important. And if the head coach whose entire job is like, this is the system I want to run, and you are a fuck up, and even though they brought him in this year, and like if your entire idea is we know that we're not going to win the division, we know we're rebuilding, you don't like the player, and if you get rid of the player, you can check out your younger players, plus you'll probably lose and you'll get a better draft pick.
Starts to
Like,
make some sense.
that's a little trust the processy, but it's kind of
Seattle feels
it's
like
not
the
unheard.
team.
Like, I kind of get it.
Seattle feels like the team that's going to pick in the teens or like the early teens, mid-teens, and take a quarterback. That's what Seattle feels like to me. You have Geno on like a couple
I
year
think
contract.
Seattle, and much more, they wait for Archie Manning the following year.
No, there's some teams that are going to be awful that year, like awful. I don't think Seattle's got too much talent to be awful, awful.
The thing is though, they have too much talent, but there's also like 10 to 12 teams in the NFL that want a quarterback next year, not in the draft but like in general. And it could be one of those things that teams are like, "Oh no, we just drafted a first round draft pick," or "Oh no, we just gave Sam Darnold $67 million. What are we going to do? We can't draft a quarterback." And then Seattle goes, "We're going to draft a quarterback, thank you." And just grabs one at pick 4 or whatever, or
It's still
trades up.
crazy. It's still crazy that because we're past the trade deadline, right, for the NFL. So there
Unfortunately, yeah.
every NFL team has their draft pick this year, their first round pick.
Yes, until they can still trade in the offseason.
Oh, that's true.
That's still a thing.
But it's just funny. So, um, you said the Niners signed somebody, right? Extended somebody, maybe.
Ah, yes. The this a couple days ago, and I'm pleasantly surprised. Um, Demo Lenore,
Yeah,
they're starting outside corner, who not quietly is the wrong word. Like 2 or 3 years ago, him and Ambry Thomas were in the same draft class, and they're like, "Ooh, which one's better? Ooh, we kind of like Ambry Thomas. Oh, they're kind of both like got problems." And then last year, Lenore just went, "Oh
he
no, I'm a
figured it out.
top
Yeah,
15 corner in the league. Thank you." And everyone went, "You're a what?" And he's like, I'm about to show you." And he didn't say that out loud, but he just like became an like a almost all pro. And then this year, there's a good chance he is an all pro at corner. Um, and the speculation going into the offseason was, especially with Purdy's deal, everyone's just like, okay, where are they going to cut this money? They have
it's
to
gonna
cut
be
money.
him.
They have to
Yeah,
cut money. They have to cut money. And Lenore's a free agent. After they are not restricted, but like they could have franchise tagged him. Um, but he was a candidate of someone that a lot of people were like, can they afford him still? Which probably means that um, Moody Ward is probably, even with the loss of his daughter, RIP, is probably going to be a free agent casualty this year. But with Renardo Green and Lenore, you still need to have 3 corners in the NFL these days. But those two, with that young second round draft pick and Lenore, he signed a 5-year, $95 million deal, which only has $14 million guaranteed, which is a steal. They still will pay more than that, but it's like if he just turns into a pumpkin next year, they can get out of it. But I think this, and I also think they're going to sign Aaron Banks this week.
that's
Um,
the guard, right?
the guard, their left guard. El Cerrito High School in the East Bay, alumni. Watched him dunk in high school. He was the stereotypical fat 6'7" guy who played offensive lineman and was on the basketball team.
Makes sense.
And he was freakishly athletic. And you go, oh,
Yeah, I mean,
So, but
a
I
game
think
against.
they'll sign him. But I also don't think they're gonna. He'll probably sign more than what you think he's worth because like he hasn't been like an All Pro, unlike Dominic Pody. We'll talk about him in a second. Um, but he's been good enough where it's like, are you gonna really want to train a new guard, or are you just gonna pay him like
Yeah,
10
okay.
to 15 million a year just to be a solid NFL guard? I actually don't know what the NFL guard market is. I'm assuming it's less than that, but like if he signs a 12 million or 13 million a year deal for 4 years, are you upset? I, he's a great run blocker, so I think he's fine.
Yeah, I mean, so well, I'm looking for the Niners to. I would take the Niners to win and cover this week. This is the type of bounce back game I think they need. Um,
It either goes one or two ways, and I'm leaning more towards disaster because I kind of want to see the funny. They're either gonna absolutely blow them out, or 49er fans are gonna be on just like end it all watch
right. The
because
last time they
like
played was Thursday Night Football, and they did beat Seattle in Seattle 36-24. Now,
yeah
to be fair, for some reason, Seattle plays better against the Niners in Santa Clara typically than they do
they
at home.
do, but they are on an 0-6 streak. Brock Purdy has never lost to the Seahawks. Geno Smith has never beaten the 49ers. And the from what I've been hearing about the offensive line of the Seahawks is DEFCON 5 levels of bad. And even if Nick Bosa's hurt, he's supposedly dealing with a hip injury from raising his shoulders too much. And there's a lot of mistakes. Like their entire defensive line for how much money they've put into it is just actually just bad.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
just
good.
not very good. And yes, Hargrave got hurt,
Yeah.
but like if the 49 it's frustrating because like next year I'm like they should draft a left tackle to replace Trent Williams in 3 years whenever he wants to retire, have someone that you can just plug and play. But if the 49ers get like the 28th overall pick or something, like of course you would want 32, but if they get, let's be like realistic and say like
28.
27, 28 or something, do you just buy an edge? Like, do you just go edge rusher or like D line?
Probably. I mean, you probably just take whichever,
You
like,
take probably best available because that's
take the best
drafting, but like,
available mid, like line, secondary, or one of the lines probably. Also, by the way, Niners 6.5 point favorites. So
sounds about right.
I would take the Niners. That's a nice line because they could win by a touchdown
I would
very.
like a stress free Sunday. That'd be nice. But
Oh,
I already got my stress out last night, so
do you want to guess what Jacksonville at Detroit line is?
13.
-14.
I didn't think they would actually go to the double.
-14. Did you have anything else to touch on the Niners?
I don't think so on the Niners. Um, I think the last thing would just be
We had a
some
small
notes
touch.
about my weekly thank you card to the New York Giants. I, I may make this a weekly segment just called Daniel Thanks the New York Giants.
Well, meanwhile, I have Saquon in one. So I'm in 3 fantasy football leagues. One of them I have Saquon Barkley, and in another league I am playing against Saquon Barkley. So ow,
Ooh.
but good. Kind of like playing.
So let me tell you about the Church of Lord Saquon. So we prayed. We prayed to our Heavenly Father, Lord Red. We went, please bring us a fairly, actually underpaid running back who can hit the hole and run for a touchdown multiple times. And the New York Giants went, hey, we've got one of those.
Yeah, Giants are
And they threw
stupid.
him out. They threw him out with the bathwater.
All
And
right.
then the Eagles found him and his holy light, and we said, "Come home, son."
Speaking of a much better Giants team, the San Francisco Giants
Are they much
have.
better?
I hope so, please.
Spicy.
They have hired former Giant Randy Wynn as vice
Randy
president
Wynn.
of player development. Honestly, that doesn't mean anything to me. So, the only thing I
It's
would notice is that Buster Posey is bringing in familiar people, and I would rather talk about the fact that given the Dodgers spent like $1 billion last year to get a title, I am curious as to how much the Giants are going to be willing to spend on players such as Juan Soto, who are free agents this offseason.
So the biggest problem is that it's twofold. If Buster Posey wasn't Buster Posey, he would be the fans would want his head on a spike over the last like 3 weeks. Of like he came out was basically like analytics are fine. We're not going to use them as much, but they're fine. And then he was also like, also payroll's probably going down. And like everyone's just kind of like, let's let him cook. Let's see what he does. Because you just
Yeah.
don't know. Like he's this enigma of like you don't. He has so much goodwill where you're like, I don't know what he's gonna do. And I fully expect them to trade Camilo Duvall.
Yep.
I fully expect uh a couple of players like Lamont Wade or um, maybe use Skrimsky and like a whole bunch of players. I think they are going to empty the like they're going to make at least one or two trades. I would like them to go get like Juan Soto is a nice like pie in the dream, but like you've seen the last 17 times they've tried for players, they've only
Dude,
got
it's
one, and
insane.
then he failed a physical. So like
Oh,
you still give
yeah.
them credit for getting Carlos Correa, but then Carlos Correa's leg ligaments are supposedly worse than like anyone in history or something. I don't know.
All right, so
Um
let's trade for him.
I I
Because that sounds like
think
a Giants thing to do.
my like the Giants should get Haksum Kim, though there's rumors that he may go to the Dodgers, which would be absolutely just giggle time fantastics. But if the biggest thing is I don't want the Giants like they've rumored to be have a meeting with Soto and that's it. And to be honest, that's the only thing I want to hear about it because if you keep talking about it, it means they're basically only in the race to push up the
But
price for whoever wins. If they aren't mentioned at all,
they have a
he's
chance.
like he's like a like Buster Posey lasagna where he's just like dun dun
Remember
dun
when they
dun
were going to
dun
sign
dun dun
Aaron
dun dun.
Judge? Remember that? Because I remember that.
Yeah, that was funny. And then it came out that the Padres were actually second, and you went,
Yeah,
"Ooh,
they were like,
that's not
no.
great." Arson Judge, baby, Arson Judge.
Are we
Um,
signing Blake Snell?
I don't think so.
Doubt it.
Um, I think they should. I think there's a chance they go after Flaherty,
Jack
or like
Flaherty?
the second tier of starting pitcher, where it's not going to cost them um
I don't even know if
quadrillion of money per year.
they have like 7 guys they were playing last year who were like quality, giving them quality innings.
They've the biggest issue with a lot of those starters that they had is a lot of them got like burned heart, where it's I still think that they could use a number two where Harrison could grow into that, Birdsong could grow into
I was gonna
that, but
say
if
they
you
have
sign a
Harrison,
pitcher for 3 to 4 years, you're at least guaranteed, hey, we have that.
right?
And
But
worst case, if they suck at the deadline, you trade them anyway.
they had Harrison, Birdsong, Webb, uh, Ray,
They
and
do have Ray still,
somebody else
and
that wasn't
and
Snell.
Keaton Witten,
Thank you. That's the one. So I
which
mean
is
that
not bad, but
put that out.
they could start that lineup. I think they'll add because they could also move. Keaton Wynn is potentially a good
Reliever.
bullpen arm, especially if they're moving Duvall.
Duvall.
Um, but I think they should spend their money on a shortstop, and
That
then
they've been
after
trying to
that,
do
you
that
just
since
kind of go, "We'll deal with it later." I
dude,
think you
they've been
sign a
trying to
shortstop
get
and
a
go, "Nope,
shortstop since like Edgar Renteria retired.
you're
Like
not wrong."
that. Oh, that's not true. Brandon
They
Crawford.
did have Crawford,
Yeah, I'm thinking second base. Where it
but
was
yeah,
like
you just move
Sony
Fitzgerald to
Sanchez
second, and
and
you're fine.
yeah, and then third's Chapman. Yeah, some of the pieces are coming together. I know you had a special shout out you wanted to give at the end of the episode today.
Okay, so I want to. This is a tribute and also a um kind of just like call out of idiocracy of corporations. I know that's a lot, but a couple days ago, specifically 2 days ago in the evening, we found out that the legendary um the face of KNBR, Tom Tolbert, was fired and let go for strictly money reasons from the parent company, as well as two of the other producers and one of their hosts, John Lund. I didn't really care for John Lund. His entire bit was a stripper announcer, and I just didn't care. But he was a hardworking radio guy, and people losing their jobs sucks. But Tom Tolbert was at KNBR for 28 years, which is, in the radio industry, is batshit insane. That just doesn't happen. He is one of the reasons I got into listening to sports. He is, for anyone who doesn't know, he was a former NBA player, grew up in Southern California, played for the Warriors for many years on a lot of the bad Warriors teams, but also some of the good ones in the 90s. But he, it was like having like when people say, "Oh, I want a president who I can have a beer with." That's Tom Tolbert, bald dude, 6 foot 8, 9, monster of a man, just talking about dumb shit on sports talk radio. But he did it more where every single person, like, you're special when that one in radio, you never get a last show. Tom Tolbert got a last show. And it was a show of him bringing on Steve Young, Kyle Shanahan, every single famous person, Drew Remenda, that is in the entire Bay Area, to be like, "Hey, I I love you, man, and this sucks." During the entire, it was a 4-hour episode of people talking about like him having more time now, and you need to come out to Sharks games or come out to, like, head coach of St. Mary's was there, and these people have been doing interview radio spots for 20 years for him. And Cumulus Media, who owns KMBR and a whole bunch of other things, and because radio is changing, he did make a lot of money because he's been in this for 28 years. But like, the amount of people who are like, "I will never listen to KNBR ever again because you let go of the one reason I listen to your station," is batshit insane. And you can tell from just like they had discussions about Halloween light etiquette with Steve Young, who puts up his lights like the second that things happen, or he puts up Christmas lights on November 1st, and like just going on a deep introspective theory about Steve Young's lighting things. And he was just the best dude, the best person. He has the Chase Center has a memorial dedicated plaque in the urinal for him.
In the urinal?
That's all you need to know. Is like, the man is a true absolute legend, and he inspired literally almost every single media personality that has come out of the Bay Area, myself included, in the last 20 years. And it absolutely sucks. But I just wanted to say that.
Let's get him on the show.
Oh no, he's drinking a beer in Alameda, dude.
Dude, he's got free time now.
He
can get him on
does
the
have free
show.
time.
Yeah, ask him to come on the show. Thank you guys for watching our latest episode of the Poulter's Talk Sports podcast. You can find us at X and Blue Sky, which I'm probably going to make right after this video.
Daniel Poulter, Blue Sky. Follow me, please.
But thank you guys, as always, for watching, and we will catch you guys on the next show. Thank you.